For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record.
All right, now what is up, everybody? Welcome to the video. So hopefully my mic doesn't die, it's just about dead, but let's try and get through this commentary as quickly as possible. Starting off, today is going to be a pull workout, so primarily focused on back with a little bit of biceps thrown in at the end. Now, started things off after my typical warm-ups, some foam rolling, all that stuff, with pull-ups. Now, you guys know, if you guys have been following me for a while, this is something I take after Seth Feroce, and yeah, just starting the whole workout off with like 5 sets of around like 5 to 10 reps per set of pull-ups, changing the grip between every single set, and just trying to hit the back from as many different angles as possible in order to get the entirety of the back warmed up. This has been one of my favorite things to do, and it's also been kind of a great way for me to kind of start increasing my pull-up strength, because otherwise I just generally don't do pull-ups. But anyway, so 5 sets here, managed to hit 8 reps per set. Now, if you can't get at least 5 reps per set for 5 total sets here, remember this is supposed to be warm-ups, so we're not trying to go like super hard on this, then I would recommend using either an assisted pull-up machine or use some bands or a spotter, something to where this is not a super taxing or pre-exhaustion type of movement. Now, one thing that I don't want you guys doing with this is substituting it for lat pull-downs. Pull-ups and lat pull-downs are 2 very different movements. They work the back in completely different ways. So I would personally try to, whether it's assisted or not, stick to pull-ups for your warm-up here. Now, once we finish that, then we moved into some heavy dumbbell rows. On the dumbbell rows, you'll notice a few things. First of all is the angle that I'm pulling from. So as I'm driving the weight down, I'm not just letting the weight fall, I'm actually driving it down and forward towards the rack so that I'm stretching the entirety of my lat out even further, as opposed to just letting the weight hang. From there, squeeze, pull up as high as I can, trying to pull my elbow back, and I'm trying to pull my hand about just below my rib cage. So pulling down and back. So that's gonna give the dumbbell more of an arcing pattern. So it's not just straight up and down, it's actually going from forward to back. And that's gonna engage more of the lat. It's gonna force yourself to stretch more at the negative, and it's gonna give you a stronger contraction at the peak. Now, this is going to be our primary movement today, which is why we're gonna be going a little bit heavier and not focusing as much on super strict form. With this one, hit 5 sets. Going to be focusing on pyramiding up in weight, starting at 15 reps, and we're going to hit 2 sets at 12 reps, then 2 sets at 10 reps. So 15, 12, 12, 10, 10. Again, don't be afraid to use a little bit of momentum here, use a little bit of body English. This is supposed to be a heavier compound movement, and this is going to be our main muscle builder for today's workout. Now, once we finish that, then we're going to jump straight into some lat pull downs. Here, it doesn't really matter what grip you use. Preferably, I like to use this neutral grip, kind of medium with mag grip or maximum advantage grip attachment. And yeah, it's one of my favorite grips for lat pull downs. Again, it doesn't really matter what grip you use, just focus on nice solid form. We're gonna be hitting 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. With this, if you pay attention, you'll notice that I'm actually trying to pause and squeeze even harder at the peak of the contraction, which is gonna be at the very bottom of the movement. So I'm just getting down, kind of getting a little bit of a pump, a little bit of a squeeze there before letting it stretch me all the way back up. On the way back up, again, pause at the top, let it fully stretch out the lats without disengaging the scapula. So what I mean by that is we're not trying to let our scapula roll forward. We're not trying to overextend at the lockout. We're trying to keep tension on the lats, keep tension on the scapula, but still let the weight stretch us at the top before coming all the way back down. Squeeze, stretch. Now, once that was finished, then we move into the last back exercise for today, which is going to be a straight arm cable pullover. With this one, again, it doesn't really matter what grip or what attachment you like to use here. Some people use a cable. You can use just a standard lat pull down bar. You could use a straight bar. I'm using just kind of this DIY straight bar made out of a couple pieces of PVC that I have. And yeah, it works fine. It's nothing crazy. Biggest thing here is you'll notice as I'm going through the range of motion, what I'm doing is I'm letting myself lean into the stretch. Again, trying not to let myself relax or disengage my lats at all. I'm trying to keep constant tension as I'm leaning into that stretch. Then I come back up, squeeze, stretch, squeeze. So just trying to, again, put emphasis on the lats, put emphasis a little bit more into the center and the middle of our back. With this one, 3 sets, around 10 to 12 reps.
Now, I forgot to include this in the commentary once I finished my workout, but after we finished the pullovers, then we're going to be hitting some banded shrugs. So if you don't have access to heavy bands, you can use just standard dumbbells or a barbell here, but going to be hitting 5 sets of around 10 reps per set, around like 8 to 10 reps. And with this, what I want you to focus on is a 2 count pause at the peak. So you see, as I'm squeezing at the top of each rep, I'm trying to hold that peak contraction for about a count of 1 to 2 seconds before letting it back down. So again, kind of going heavier here and using this to target the traps.
And then we're going to move into some biceps. So to finish the workout off, we're going to be doing 2 bicep exercises. We're going to be starting off with just some alternate dumbbell curls, going a little bit heavier here. And now you'll also notice that I'm using my bat grips. It's just personal preference. If you guys have these, we recommend using them. They're going to hit the forearms a little bit more, work your grip strength. And I also find that they work the biceps just a little bit differently just because of that thicker grip. It works the biceps and hits them just a little different as opposed to using just not using them. So here, going to be going 6 to 8 reps per side. Again, alternating. With this one, I want you to try and think of supinating, so turning your pinky up and out as you're coming up and curling the weight. That's going to give you, again, a tighter contraction at the peak on the bicep, and then slowly control the weight back down. Another thing you'll notice, I'm not throwing my elbow forward in order to get the weight up. I'm trying to keep my elbow locked in at my side, straight at the bottom, straight at the top. Squeeze that bicep, slow, controlled negative. And at the bottom, another thing that I like to do is I like to actually think of trying to flex my tricep as hard as I can. What that's going to do is it's going to stretch the bicep out even further, again, emphasizing that stretch. So 3 sets, 6 to 8 reps per arm. Then we're going to move into the last exercise for today's workout, which is going to be just a dumbbell hammer curl. Again, here we're going a little bit heavier, so 3 sets, 6 to 8 reps. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting off together. So you're going to be doing both dumbbells, both hands together. Same principle as with the alternate dumbbell curl. We're going to be trying to squeeze, pause at the top, hold that all the way down, lock it out at the bottom, come back up. I want you to go for like 6 reps if you can, under control. And once you start feeling like you can't get a full range of motion without swinging, then you're going to switch to an alternate and just pump out another 2 to 4 reps. So again, you should be getting around like 6 to 10 reps here. Going to be doing 3 sets, and that's pretty much going to be the whole workout. So with this workout, short, sweet, to the point. Again, doing some more kind of compound movements today. Definitely was emphasized more on the back. Then our next pull workout in this week is going to be a little bit more emphasis on biceps. We might even throw in like some rear delts as well. But overall, hopefully you guys enjoyed the workout. If you have any questions, just let me know down below in the comment section. For right now, I'm going to cut back to the meal prep from yesterday, because yesterday's video, as you guys kind of saw, ended up getting pretty long after the workout. It was already at like 35 minutes. So I'm going to throw in my meal prep from yesterday and kind of talking about my macros and everything right now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit that like button. Definitely helps out, helps show your support for the channel. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will check in with you later. All right, so I am cooking up my food for this coming week. Now, as you guys see, I'm doing pretty much just chicken and rice. So with my meals for this week, I'll kind of lay them out right now. First, couple things to note. One is because we had the photo shoot, the wedding on Friday, and we were driving Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Basically, I was gone. I didn't have or use any of my meals from last week. They stayed in the freezer, so I'm essentially going to be using those this week instead. So instead of cooking up all 7 days worth of meals, which I typically would, I'm only going to be cooking 4 days worth, essentially, and that's going to basically go in the freezer. I pulled the ones out of the freezer, they're in the fridge. I'll use those this week for the next couple days, and then I'll pull the ones that I'm cooking today out of the freezer and start using them towards the end of the week. But let me talk to you guys a little bit about, one, my macros, how I'm breaking them down, and then two, what my meals are. So to start off with my macros for this week, what I'm going to be doing is essentially just sticking to consistent macros, consistent calories every single day, and just trying to keep it basically as consistent as possible on a daily basis throughout the duration of the entire week. That way I can more easily track my weigh-ins, track how the cardio is affecting my weigh-ins, basically just track what my body is doing and how it's progressing, because I'm going to be able to dial everything in a lot better. Hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, so starting off, protein is going to be sitting at about 170 grams per day. So not super high. I'm definitely not crazy high amounts. Actually, that's, if anything, that's almost a little bit low. I might look at adding in a post-workout protein shake, which would bump that up to about like 190 grams. Yeah, so I'm essentially at about 0.9 grams per pound of body weight for protein. As I get further and further into the deficit, into the cut, I'll start bumping that up, moving it closer to like 1 gram per pound, and then moving it up even further to about 1.1. That's probably be about where I'll maybe like call the limit, is like 1.1 grams per pound of body weight. And I'll just be subtracting from my carbs every single time I increase my protein. And basically just carbs are going to be the one source where I'll pretty much be taking away carbs as I need to either drop my calorie intake or as I need to increase my protein intake. That's what I'll be adjusting. My fats are going to basically stay the same, and my protein is either going to go up or down based on how far into the cut I am. So we're at 170 grams of protein. Then next I am sitting at 360 grams of carbs. And then finally I'm sitting at about like 14 grams of fat. Now you might think, damn, that is extremely low on the fat. And yes, that is. That is not something that I would necessarily recommend anybody start out with. I personally would say is take about 15 to 20% of your total caloric intake and treat that and use that as fat. However, for me, I've been doing this so long that I know my body fairly well. I know that my body reacts best to very low fat, higher carb, higher protein. It's just how my body works. It's very Something that I've kind of learned over the years as I've been doing this for like 8-9 years now. It's something that's kind of been an experiment over the years, and it's something that I personally have found with my body to work best. Now, like I said, that is not something I would recommend starting out with. For you, for anybody else out there, I would personally say start out 15 to 20% of your daily caloric intake in fat. That means if you've got a 2,000 calorie diet, let me bring up my calculator here. If you've got a 2,000 calorie diet, multiply that times 0.15, that means 300 calories should come from fat at a minimum. That's a minimum, which divide that by 9, that gives us about 34 grams of fat. So basically almost double, a little more than double what I'm actually eating right now is kind of the baseline for what I would recommend if you're on, say, a 2,000 calorie diet. Now for me, I am sitting at, 170 plus 360 is 530, multiply that by 4, 2,120 plus 14 times 9 gives me about 2,250 calories. Now, like I said, I might add in a scoop of protein, which would add in like another 25 grams of protein and like maybe 2 or 3 grams of carbs. So say another 100 calories, so it would bump me up to like 2,350, which is probably what I'm going to look at doing, just because I didn't really look at that. My protein is a little bit low, honestly. So yeah, that's essentially what my calories and my macros currently look like. Sitting at about 170 grams of protein, 360 grams of carbs, and 14 grams of fat. The only source of fat that I really have right now is 2 whole eggs. So in the morning, I'll just kind of walk you through my daily meals. Starting first thing in the morning, I'm going to be waking up. I'm going to have a pre-workout meal, which is going to consist of 4 to 6 ounces of spinach and 8 ounces of orange juice. Throw that in the Vitamix in the blender, blend it up, drink that, wait about 10-15 minutes, take my pre-workout, hit the gym. That's my first meal, if you can call it a meal. Second is going to, again, potentially be a post-workout protein shake. If I do have that, that's about 25 grams of protein, maybe like 2-3 grams of carbs. But the second actual meal of the day is going to consist of 60 grams of rice, 2 whole eggs, about a tablespoon of ketchup, and then like a serving of soy sauce. And that's going to be my first meal of the day. That's my post-workout meal. And that's pretty much the only meal where I'm actually getting any fats. That's really the only source of fats I have throughout the entire day, apart from trace amounts of fats from whatever else I'm eating, such as the chicken, which the chicken, I cut it and clean it pretty well to where there's almost no fat on it, so it really isn't a huge deal. Hopefully all this up until this point wasn't too choppy. I just noticed that my shutter speed was at like 1/30th instead of 1/50th, so hopefully none of this footage up until this point has been too choppy. That kind of sucks. But anyway, so that's my second meal. Third, fourth, and fifth meals, so I've got 3 meals that are identical, are going to be 60 grams of white rice, 6 ounces of chicken, and then I'm going to have like a handful, maybe like half a cup to a full cup of green beans. And with the chicken, it's going to be cooked in Yoshida's teriyaki sauce for about 1 serving or 1 tablespoon, which is going to add a little bit of carbs there. Again, that's something that I usually wouldn't track, but because I'm into a diet, I'm going to be tracking that. Usually it's something that I wouldn't worry about. I don't worry about my seasonings unless I am tracking my calories, tracking my macros. And then the other thing I'll be having on there is about a serving of soy sauce. So essentially that's meals 3, 4, and 5. All 3 of those are going to be identical. For me, that's just what I like. It's simple. It's super quick to cook. It doesn't take any time at all. I just clean the chicken, cut it, dice it, throw it on the stove with some Yoshida's teriyaki sauce. Rice, as you saw, I just weigh it out, throw it in the rice cooker, and just let it cook. So once that's all finished, throw them in my containers, throw some in the fridge, some in the freezer, and I'm good to go. It's the easiest way for me to prep. It takes all of like 2 hours to do anywhere from 3 to 5 meals per day if I'm cooking for both my wife and for both myself and my wife. Sometimes even like 6 or 7 meals per day for a 7-day, for a full week essentially. So that's what, 7 times 7, 42, 49 meals, something like that. Yeah, so basically just under 50 meals I can get cooked in like 2.5, 3 hours tops, which just helps speed up my day a lot. Okay, so then my last meal of the day is going to be a fruit smoothie. So getting in my daily serving of fruit here. But it's going to consist of 250 grams of 0% Greek yogurt, Kirkland brand. And then I'm also going to have 8 ounces of orange juice, 30 grams, or potentially if I want to have like, if I want to have, say, some tea later in the evening, which I do often have, like some chamomile just before bed, I'll do like 20 grams of honey here and then throw 10 grams in my tea just because I like that extra sweetness. It makes the tea taste a little better. So either way, I'm going to have 30 grams of honey sometime towards the end of the day. And then for the fruit, I have 100 grams of frozen strawberries. Again, I get all my frozen fruit from Costco. It's super cheap, most affordable place that I've found personally, unless I can get them like on super sale at the grocery store and I can cut them and freeze them myself. And then I'm also going to have 250 grams of frozen mango. So that's essentially my full daily meals. So that's stampeding dogs. So yeah, that's essentially my entire daily meal plan. That's what I'm going to be eating for this entire week. And that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing kind of going forward. The only thing that I might adjust is like the quantities, but that's essentially what my meals are going to look like for at least the next 4 to 8 weeks. And again, only thing I'm really going to be changing is potentially just the quantities of rice and chicken. And then also I might change up what fruit I have in my smoothies, but that's pretty much what it is. So I'm going to keep cooking. My wife just got pizza. I'm going to avoid eating the pizza because she is craving pizza. You can see her right there. See her. But I'm gonna keep cooking, so let's go.
done tryna make y'all comfortable. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't tryna link, no time to waste. For the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record.